Hello, hello, hello. Sorry about that. wasn't reacting to my touch, but hey, happy Sunday. It's Paula from Desert Cat Creations. Welcome to week 48. Oh my goodness, right? And it's the last day in November. Can you believe it? One more month left. That's just crazy, right? Anyways, today we are going to draw our cards, see what we're going to make for week 48. And I'm also going to make a quick project using our deck 1 and the Bargain Bead Box. So I don't know what we're making. We'll see what the cards have in store for us today. All right, so I hope you're all having a great weekend, and that, I know the middle of the country is getting a lot of snow, so hopefully you're staying inside, staying warm, and don't have to go anywhere, and you can sit around and be creative. Use your beads. Do something fun, right? So, it's nice here. We're in Tucson. 70s, 60s. Cold enough that I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt today. Okay, so, hey, Janelda. Like I said, today, I don't know what we're making. We will be having a little schedule adjustment next weekend because I have something all day on Sunday, and so I may do the drawing on Saturday. Most likely that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I will let you guys know on Thursday what I decide. No snow. Well, you're in a you're in a nice warm spot for the most part, Janelle. I'm glad there's no snow there. Our only snow here is all the blooms and stuff are falling off the trees that kind of do stuff in the fall. So my allergies. Apparently, I'm allergic to pretty much every grass and tree that grows in Arizona, according to the allergist, or at least more than half of them. So, anyways. Well, I hope you have a great show on Saturday. Yeah, I know it's just gonna throw things off, but like I said, it would have to be, if I do it on Sunday, it'd have to be late in the evening, which doesn't really work for all of you guys that are on an earlier time zone than me. So, anyways, I'll let you know, and you can always catch the replay if you're not available. So, all right, just want to show this off again. I had so much fun making this ornament this week. So hopefully you guys had a chance to catch that. I don't think I haven't moved the video yet, but it will be available on YouTube. And that was really fun to do something like that. And sometimes you just lay out the beads and they come together and it gives you ideas, right? So I also turned the trees I made from the bead caps into earrings. So that'll be my fun. I haven't quite done the full transition to Christmas season yet because, it's still November. So tomorrow will be all about Christmas jewelry, but I decided to wear my new trees today. Okay. All right, just a reminder, our sale is still going on through, it'll go through the 14th of December. You can get 20% off of everything, and then with your order, you get a free jar of beads, and every jar is a little different. So, anyways, you know, it's a decent sized jar, decent sized amount of beads. That'll be your free gift in addition to that 20% off. So, when I flip it over, you can see the website, which I'll try to go back and edit the description. I'm not always good at that, but I'll do that. And put that in there, and code thanks20 if you're ordering off the website, or if you order directly from me, I will just give you the 20% off. The 20% off is good on all our kits, all our cards, and all our bead mixes, okay? So, if you have missed out on anything this year, or, you know, you need a little gift for any of your beady friends, those are all available at 20% off. All right, so let's flip this over. Let's do a little zoom in. Try not to make people dizzy when I do this. All right, so again, our website, desert-cat-creations.square.site, and the code, if you put it in on thanks20. If you forget the code on the website, it's really it's not easy for me to make changes, so make sure you put that in there. And like I said, if you're afraid you're gonna forget, you can just order by direct messaging me. So at Desert Cat Creations. All right, let's get to drawing, see what we are going to make this week. So, as always, we have our Bead Stash challenge cards, which are designed to boost our creativity, add a little fun and adventure to our beading journey. You know, if you're stuck staring at your pile of beads that keep buying, you know, sometimes your hobby is buying beads, but at some point, you actually want to make something with those beads. And I realize that some people don't buy stuff till they know what they're going to make with them, and that's great. But, you know, if somebody gives you something or you get freebies, you never know what you're going to do with them. So it can help out with that. So our decks, hey Marionica, our decks have 3 kinds of cards. The first is make cards. So, you know, if you're sitting around, you want to make something, but you don't really know what you're in the mood for, draw some cards. And I have all 5 of our decks shuffled in here. So we have our deck 1, which is the basic deck, and everything builds off of there. I have the color deck, which adds all things color to my designs. I have the non-jewelry and findings deck, which helps me use all the metal goodies that, metal beads, metal charms, you know, head pins, jump rings, all that stuff. And then we have the sun and sea deck, so you will see some things that are summery and beachy in my cards. And I also have the Desert Southwest deck, which was our latest one this year, which, you know, adds things from the Desert Southwest. So think Arizona, New Mexico, Southern California, Texas, you know, parts of Colorado, Utah, whatever, all Desert Southwest. So it concentrates on the you know, the nature around here, as well as the cultures that kind of are prevalent in this area. So anyways, so this week we are going to make a keychain. All right, so that card is from our non-jewelry and findings deck. And keychains are always a great, you know, gift. If it's like if you have to do something for a guy or somebody you don't know their size, they're kind of picky about things they have, you know, maybe a keychain's a great idea. All right, so our next pile of cards are our used cards. These are tell us what to pull out of our bead stash and use in our project. All right, So what are we going to use in our keychain? We are going to use mermaid beads. So mermaid beads are from our Sun and Sea deck. We are going to use a sliding clasp or knot in our design. I think we can make that happen. And that is from our non-jewelry and findings deck. And a magnetic clasp. Okay, I'm not going to use magnetic clasps, so I'm going to put that back in here. Now, you can draw as many or as few use cards as you want. I normally draw 3. Some people draw 1, some people have drawn 5. It really is up to you. But if you do like I did, you know, like you don't want to use multiple types of finishes or something, just put it back in and draw a different card. So we are going to use upcycled or leftover beads from other projects in our design. So that card is from our original deck. So that is there. All right, and then our last thing that contributes to our design is the challenge cards. Now this pile is kind of low because we've been drawing from them all year. And you'll see we still have some cards left. The other decks have recently been, or somewhat recently been, reshuffled. So, but you know, you can keep them all separate. The deck 1, the Sun and Sea deck, and the Desert Southwest decks can really all be used by themselves. But the non-jewelry and findings deck, well, I mean, the non-jewelry and findings deck has a lot of make cards and use cards, but it doesn't have any challenge cards. And the color deck only has use cards and challenge cards, so it won't tell you what to make. But anyways, so challenge cards add a theme to your design, or it adds some sort of a design challenge that you want to add on to your design. So let's see what kind of card we have today. We are going to design something inspired by a pirate. So that card is obviously from our Sun and Sea deck because, you know, pirates are beachy, summery things, right? So, all right, so this week we're going to make a keychain. We're going to use mermaid beads. So mermaid beads, that can be something like, you know, you see a lot of mermaid tail beads, but there's also the aurora beads, I think is the official name for them. They are mermaid, also known as mermaid beads. We're going to use a sliding clasp or a knot in our design, so I will show you what comes up. We are going to use upcycled or leftover beads from other projects. So, you know, some people go, you know, when you take apart old things, that's upcycled. Or if you're buying things at a thrift store, that's all upcycled. And we are going to design something inspired by a pirate. So we're going to have a piratey keychain. Hey, Lorraine, thanks for jumping in. So we did our drawing for the week. And that's what you're going to see me making. So that'll be a little bit of a switch from making stuff for the holidays, right? So last week we got to make something for the holidays, but not this week. So, all right. So I thought, since I haven't touched my bargain bead box for November, I thought we would draw some cards and make something from it today. All right, so bargain bead box, if you're not familiar, they have a subscription you can get. I think if you're new, it's like $30 now, but you get like 90 to, like this month's is worth, retail value is $84, you know, and you're getting that for less than 30. So, but it might be 32 for new people. But I know some of the people that you guys probably follow, you can get a bit of a discount on. I am not, you know, if I refer you, I guess you, I don't know if I get the discount or you get the, either way. But anyways, you know, it's a fun mix of things. It gives you a lot of findings, and it gives you a lot of beads that you can then play with. They also run contests on their over in their groups, so I will say I have not entered the contest. They have a lot bigger audience, so obviously a lot more people playing. But all right, so we're just going to use deck 1 here. And if you're using these cards with a you know, with like a monthly subscription or something, I recommend just using deck 1 and not using all the cards mixed together. And that's just because, you know, there may or may not be things. That doesn't mean you can't pull things from your stash, but there may or may not be things that you need if, you know, if you're using a box. And a lot of them have themes. Not every, depending on who you're getting the box from, they may or may not have a theme. So anyways, make an anklet. You know what? I think we made that last time. So let's draw a different one. Make a necklace. I guess we can make a necklace. Seems like we made more necklaces lately than usual, but that's fine. All right. So the used cards, you know, we may or may not have withdraw things that are in there. And like I said, you know, if you're working and not doing it live, you could pull extra stuff out of your stash. But I don't think I will be doing that. So, all right. So what are we going to use? We are going to use wire in our design. I did pull out some wire in the color schemes. Pearls or shells. Now, there just happens to be glass pearls in here, so all right, that works. And let's see, links. There are links, or we can make our own, so we'll see how that goes. All right, and let's see what our challenge card is. Now, the challenge card may or may not work depending on, like I said, what you have here. This box, the yeah, it's kind of a wintry theme. The colors are all purples. There's a couple of blue strands in here too. And antique copper is the findings color this month. So, all right. So our challenge cards, design something adjustable. Okay, we can do that. So like I said, you know, if you're using these with, you know, with these kits, you may or may not be able to have everything that you draw. But in this case, you know, I'm just going to have to add wire anyways. There are some links in here that came with it, and we can make our thing adjustable. All right, so we are going to use these pretty glass pearls. Where are they show? Yeah, they're glass pearls. So it's they're mulberry, I guess. All right, use some of those. What do I want to use? I'm probably not going to use the blue beads. So this kit has some glass leaves. Yeah, it is a really pretty color. You know, if we want to use something chunky, we've got this purple aventurine, which they normally, I want to say one thing that I really like about them is they will label if something's dyed or treated, and these are not labeled. I didn't know Aventurine came in purple, but it does come in a bunch of different colors. So there we go. I learned something, maybe. There's also some teeny tinies. There's some phosphiterite. It says these are 3 by 2 millimeters. They are not. There's no way these are 3 millimeter beads, but that's okay. They're still pretty. All right, we've got some jump rings. There's always one thing they always include is pendants, but I actually don't want to use the pendant at the moment. I'll think about it, because if I'm making it adjustable, I might make something similar to what Janelda made the other day, is a necklace that's long enough to also be a bracelet. So here's the links that came with the kit. Right? So we have those we can use, or like I said, we can make our own. It had some tube bales, but I don't think we're going to use those. And they always have bead caps. So these, the folks that put this together obviously love bead caps, because they put bead caps in every box or bag, whatever. All right, there's some chain. I'll keep that out. We might want to use that. Don't think I want to use those metal beads. There are some charms, some poinsettia charms. Yeah, one it's calling it pendants, and one it's calling it, I guess they're all calling them pendants. So if we want to make something sort of Christmassy, we could consider adding one of those, right? Then there's pine cones. Not really sure how the pine cones fit in this theme, quite honestly. All right, and there's some toggle clasps. There's some other crystals. There's this real pretty lepidolite. See how that goes. Oh, and I thought these were pretty. There's some glass leaves, but I think I'm going to save those for some earrings. All right, and then I said that, like I said, there's some aquamarine and in here, which I love aquamarine, but I think I'm not going to use it with this color today. All right, so let's get our, see what looks best with these pearls. All right. I'm going to set the tinies aside, because I don't know that I want to use them or not. What do you think? Just a combination of those look pretty. We could throw in a few of these. A few of these glass sleeves are real pretty. If I want to use, they always have something in this question. Okay, I didn't know if that was just me that felt that way. Yeah, some of those I just pull out and I stick them with stuff from the other boxes. I think I may just use these. We may need these other crystals just to make it long enough. We might as well use one of these clasps. There's a toggle in here. All right. So if I want to make, so you can make something adjustable by making it so that there's different places you can attach the clasp to make it shorter or longer. Which we could do that. In which case I don't want to use the toggle clasp. This thinking on the fly stuff. Actually, I think I have an idea here. Let's see. All right. All right, we're going to use a couple of these links. We'll put those out. And maybe one of these. Poinsettias. And see if we can work in some leaves here. All right. I do like this strand of small beads. They're the small crystals. It's a bunch of different shades of purple. So. All right, and I'm gonna I think I'm going to string onto and I already am dropping beads. I think I'm going to string onto the copper butterscotch. I don't know which version I have out here. Soft Flicks today. Question is, do I do a design or do I just do random? Ow. All right, so this one was strung on very thin wire. It just poked my finger. Didn't appreciate that. All right. So now I'm thinking actually to make this adjustable, I want to use some of this chain. I didn't even look to see what the chain looked like. Oh, it's pretty. It's a textured just cable chain, so that's a handy one. And I do have a bunch of lobsters nearby, so since I'm making this adjustable, I'm going to use a lobster for my clasp. So let's see if that fits. So the lobster clasp does not clasp directly in there, so we'll have to think about that. So what I was thinking here is, maybe we could make sort of a little pendant. We can I mean, we have a pendant here, right? But we're going to make a pendant with the, using the link, because we have to use a link. You can always add things to it later. Now this month, I think it's because they're using the copper. They did include a bag of jump rings. They don't always do that. And these boxes don't ever include, well, I shouldn't say ever because I haven't done it, but they normally don't include things like wire or stringing materials, but other than chain, they do. All right, so I'm trying to use a jump ring to attach these into the center of the link. All right. So we've got that, and now to decide if I want to add any extra charms there, but what I think I'll do is, you know, just some strings, I think this one I'm going to make adjustable from the back. So I've got the, this is Butterscotch Imperial Topaz, but the copper soft flex would work as well. And maybe we'll just string a little bit around this around here, and then add some chain. So maybe I will consider using these big ones after all. But if I adjust these in size, you know, make it the biggest ones, and then go smaller. And to pull in a little more. Try to make sure I'm on the screen. Whoops. All right, so we'll make a little design here. So just something simple. And then we could, you know, put some more links in there. And we can choose to do the design again, or we could switch to chain. Kind of like that. All right, let's see what it looks like on the beading wire. So let's do this size first. So I'm stringing them backwards or towards the center, because I'm going to attach it first to that center. All right, so let's get we need a couple of crimps here. All right, put my crimp on. And then I am going to connect through the end of the link. And back. Back through the crimp. Let me double check whether or not, before I tighten that, whether or not I can fit 2 strands through this crystal. I am using medium weight and I'm only, you know, you want to be able to put your strands through here so that you can, for a safety thing. So I was able to make it work. So now I'm just going to snuggle that crimp down so I don't have a big gap there. And we're going to use our magic crimper. So we're putting it into the little divot. We're squeezing, making a ravioli. Turn it 90 degrees. Squeeze. And then just slowly turn, gently squeeze, making sure the middle stays in those divots. And you should have something that looks like a small bead when you're done. And now we can just push that down. Now I realize my other side is going to have the same issue. You know, I'm not worried about the bigger beads, although pearls often have very small holes, so I don't think I could get 2 strands through the pearl. So all right, so let's go ahead and trim this. Put our crimp on, and we're adding it to our next link. I won't say there are always links in these boxes, but it's often, right? So come on. Can't even get my crimp to slide. There we go. Just stuck on that edge. I'm going to pull my crimp up a little bit, and partly because I want to get the wires, the double wires through this crystal, and this is going to hold it really nicely because it's a pretty tight fit. And I'll go through that second crystal. So now I need to snuggle everything down, but I don't want the end. So we're going to push down and pull. We're going to push everything down towards my pliers. Like I said, I'm not let go. It's going to take a little bit. And pull. It's a little easier to do when I'm not holding it there, but I don't, you know, I have to be careful because I don't want to lose my end, right? And, you know, we're doing all this so that we can make sure that our necklace doesn't come apart. We don't want that to happen. And I know you can just trim these. I sometimes have to do that, but I prefer to have little bit of tail going through my beads. There. All right, let's see if we can snuggle it just a tad tighter. I want my beads nice and tight next to each other. All right. And now, you know, just make sure you leave yourself enough room to get the crimper in there. So, all right. Ravioli time. Turn. And sometimes it's easier just, you know, to take your hand and kind of hold both sides while you're doing this. All right. And now we want to trim. You know, we just got to make sure we only trim what's sticking out. All right, so here we go. We got one side. So let's work on the other one now. All right, so again, I'm working towards the center. So I'm going to put these beads on. And a crimp. And now I want to go through the other side of the link. And back through my crimp. All right, let's see if we can get it through this crystal. We know we got it to work on the other side. But sometimes the holes are not the same size. So that's a little tiny one. I'm going to go ahead and just pull this a little so I have less to cut off. I know it's not that much, but you know, every little bit saved means another project you can do, right? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do our crimp. All right, and now I am going to trim the short one. You don't want to trim the long one. All right, now let's let gravity help us bring all our beads to this side, and we're gonna cut this. I like to leave myself about, you know, 1.5 inches or so, just so I'm not trying to grab a little teeny tiny piece of string, okay? So First challenge, getting it through the crimp, right? And then let's see if this crystal has a little larger hole in it. Looked like it was going to. Let's see. Just have to get these ends really close together. All right. Well, I'm not going to fight with it, so unfortunately that means this side. If you're having troubles getting your wires to tighten, you know, just push the crimp down a little at a time. You don't want to pull your end out because then you have to re-stick that in there, right? So. And I do find it's easier to pull on this wire. So, you know, we drew the use wire card. Right now I'm using beading wire, but we may use craft wire too. All right. So there we are at the end. All right, let's do our crimp, ravioli. So we've got our end there. Let's trim this. And let's look at what we've got. All right, so we got the center of our necklace. Upside down. My crimps out of the way because I think I'm done with the crimping. All right, so that'll be the center of our necklace. And so I think I'm going to now hook on a little chain. Now I could use I could just use jump rings here, or I can use a quick wire wrap. Let me go ahead and use those jump rings. And then we're going to wire wrap to make our extension. Now when you're hooking chain on with jump rings, now this is decorative chain, but you want to use a jump ring that's closest to the size of the loops in your chain. How did you miss? I'll bet you're watching something on YouTube at the same time you're watching me, Janelda, huh? So anyways, something closest to the size of the rings in the chain will help this just kind of blend more, and it won't stand out that you're using a jump ring to attach chain. All right, so I'm going to attach chain to the end of this link. You're so nice, Janelda. So see, using that small jump ring, it kind of just blends in, right? All right, now we need to decide how long we're going to make this. So my thought was I would make it, you know, kind of like a choker, so about 16 to 17 inches, and then maybe add a 2-inch adjustment in case somebody either wants it to hang down further or, you know, has a larger neck, right? Because we all have different size necks. Well, at least you're able to watch them, so. And I should be done by now, but I'm not. So. All right, so for a 16-inch, I need this to be, you know, 8 inches. And I am actually going to go back a little ways, only because I'm going to add a clasp. Now, I don't know what this chain is made out of, so I'm going to use my emery wire cutters to cut my chain. So we'll do one side. So I think we'll just take some 22 gauge wire using antique copper because it'll match, blend right in. And I am just going to make a little link. I think I might actually use, instead of using the little teeny one, I'm going to use the next size up. And we're going to just attach this onto our chain on the one side. And I am just doing my wrap real quick. Right. Can tuck that in a little better now that the bead is next to it. Right. And now I'm just going to make a tiny loop. I'm going to attach the lobster to this. That much. And this just adds a little color and character to the back of your necklace. You don't have to add a bead, but you know, if you're going to end up using wire to attach it, it's a nice touch. Add a little color here. So I'm using 22 gauge. It's pretty easy to do with my fingers. So. All right. Tighten that. All right. So now we have one set that has our attachment. So now we need something to attach these into. You know what? I just happened to, because I had them out for something else. I have a closed some closed loops that are copper. So, all right, so I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to attach the chain onto this side. Again, I'm using a tiny jump ring. Okay. So now I want this side to be about the same length as this side, actually. So I am going to cut it. Actually, because I'm putting a loop, I'm going to go back a couple. And again, I'm using my, you know, if you're using steel chain or anything, you really do want to use your wire, goodness sakes, your memory wire cutters. Okay. All right, so we're going to add another bead here. All right. I know I'm running late, guys. Yeah. We're getting there. Loop. Hooking that into the end of our chain. And, you know, I think, you know, when you're building something, like this, anytime you can use a closed loop instead of a jump ring, it makes it a little more secure. All right. Now this other side, we are going to attach to one of these closed loops. So this is it's a jump ring that's basically been soldered closed, and they're best for the end because they won't come apart on you. And let your necklace fall off. Okay. Let's wrap that around real quick. Now, if this chain, not a pretty loop, but oh well. If the chain was big enough that I could put the lobster in there, you know, we'd already have something adjustable, but it's not. So what I want to do is, you know, make it so it's adjustable for another maybe inch or two, right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take some of these teeny tiny crystals, And we're going to put a little chain extender on here, okay? I don't need that much. And all right, so I am just making a wrap loop here, and I'm going to attach it to this same ring that we were just working off of. And so we got that. Oops, my crystal snuck down there. All right, now I'm just gonna make a loop on the other side. So we are making our own links here as well, right? And this one I'm gonna attach to some chain. All right. So let's find the end of our chain. So I wanted to add, you know, like an extra, maybe inch. What do you think? An inch or an inch and a half? What do you think I need to allow for the difference in sizes when it's adjustable? I don't want to do too much. I'm just going to go about there. All right. We really are getting there. So I am going to add, I guess I didn't need to cut my chain before I added this, but we did, so it's okay. We were going to have to cut it anyways. All right, and now I'm just closing that loop so it's connected to one end of the chain. I'm going to trim this. See. There we go. My ends of my trimmers didn't want to trim. All right. So now I need another ring at the end of this, so we're going to do another just quick attachment. Where'd my wire go? Yeah. All right. So let's put our bead on. Let's make our tiny ring here. It doesn't really matter which one you do first. I'm going to hook this ring on first just so I don't have to have the whole necklace hanging here for both loops. All right. Let's see if we can scooch that up. Come on, bead. And again, often if you push the bead against the wires, you know, it helps scoot them and allows you to do a nice clean tuck. All right. And now we're going to hook it onto the necklace, so I need to make one more loop. And I'm hooking it to the other end of that chain that's Just kind of hanging out there. And we're going to wrap that around. Pick times, then we're going to trim this. And we are going to tuck our end in. I don't know why that got a little crooked. There we go. All right. Let me make sure that's tucked in. Tucked in. All right. So let's look at what we made here. Woo. So here's the front of our necklace. It'll hang down like that. Right? And then when you get to the top, you can hook it in this first loop. So that would be, well, I'm going from the bottom or the top of the pendant up, so that would be about a 16-inch necklace. And then if you wanted it a little longer, you put it in this bottom ring. All right. So I think that's fun. I'm always glad when I finally make something with my box, and you know how much I love copper and all that. So let me put it on, and then we'll flip the camera, and we can be done. Let's see. All right, let's see if we can do this. All right, so that's the shorter one there. That's what it looks like. And sorry. And then if we use the longer, which is the more length I like to wear things, that's what we get. Yay! I like that. I've been inspired recently. I kind of like things that are just a little bit of something right there, and then the rest is kind of plain. And I think those make good layering pieces, right? So I'm wearing, figure it's my last day of fall stuff, so I'm wearing my leaves today. But all right, so that is an option for how you can make something adjustable. Adjustability is great when, especially, when you're selling stuff. I know it makes it harder, but at least then people have a chance of making sure something fits. So, all right, so thanks for joining me. I really ran over today. Wow. Well, I didn't come up with my idea ahead of time, so it does take a little longer when you're designing on the fly. But thanks for sticking in there with me. We'll be back on Thursday to make our keychain, noon Mountain Time. As always, thanks for your business. Don't forget the sale. If you want your stuff in the near future, go ahead and order. I will not be shipping anything between the 9th and the 14th. Okay. because I will not be able to ship during that time, but I will be able to ship up until then or after the 14th. So Lorraine, thanks for, I did see your online order. I appreciate that. So anyway, so thanks again. Please like and follow us on Desert Cat Creations. It's free to like and follow things. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and you can subscribe to us on YouTube, which is where all the videos reside after 30 days. So you can go back and watch them. And as always, you know, as a small business owner, I appreciate that you guys are shopping small and not shopping at the big stores this weekend, or I mean, I'm sure we all shop at the big stores too, but it does make a difference for a small business owner. So thanks again, and I will see you all on Thursday at noon, and I'm sure most of you, I will see you in other places before then, but appreciate it, and you guys have a great week.